when she was like maybe a month and a half, 2 months. And he's like, that's normal. She's still a little, newborn. It might take a little bit of time, blah, blah, blah. So then finally at 3 months, I'm like, no, something is wrong. Like it's like if you're a mother, you just know something is wrong.
Mhm.
So we had set up an appointment to go see a doctor for her eyes. And my mom actually took her because I had ended up going back to work. I've always been a workaholic. I've always been super independent in that, where I like to have my own money. I like to be secure. I don't like to depend on anyone. It's just, I feel like with the life that I've lived, I haven't been able to have that. So I've always felt safer just going in and handling my own thing. So I went back to work as soon as I could after having the baby, and my mom took her to the doctor's appointment, and she came back and was like crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? And she's like, well, the doctor said that she has minimal to no vision. And I'm like, what? And that's why she wasn't following. That's why she wasn't able to look at the objects that I was showing her. So I'm like, okay, what do we do? How do we fix it? Is there a surgery, whatnot? And my mom was like, no, there's nothing we can do. Like, Gabby's blind. And I was like, what? Because, you don't expect that. You're kind of like
Right.
blind. That doesn't make any sense. So, and there's no history in my family of anything. So it was very confusing. And then it didn't stop there. So then we ended up we had many years of in and out with the hospital, because then she ended up having a growth hormone issue. They warned us that she had, first of all, she was diagnosed with septo-optic dysplasia, which means like the septa pellucidum, which is the midline of the brain, happens to be missing, which also helps to control what your messages coming out of the brain. So she wasn't also like, the messages were not coming through the brain for her to see. Like we're able to see because our brain is telling us to do so.
Hmm.
So she wasn't able to do it. So from there, they told me that she might also suffer from seizures, and that she might have a growth hormone issue, and she ended up having all of them. So when she was 1, she ended up having her first seizure, and we went back to the hospital. We were admitted for like a whole entire week. They did a bunch of extensive testing and all this kind of stuff. And it just became really, really like a whole roller coaster for a good year and a half. We
Well,
had to
wait,
put her
wait a
on.
minute. I have a question. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
please.
Because I know that this is your story that you've probably told it a million times, but I just got to ask questions. I'm sorry.
Please.
Um, when you found this out initially, what was were you just more like, okay, so what do we do? Or
Yes.
were you like sad? Like what were your emotions?
I think I was more so shocked. So I have been a pretty I like to say it's emotionally crippled, because I feel that courage comes from feeling, and I've always been very guarded my whole life. I think now that I've been focusing more in my life on personal development and beefing up my mindset, now I feel like I can feel more. I even had my
Mm,
sister tell me the other day, you seem to be a little more emotional as far as being empathetic towards human beings and wanting to like help people and wanting to help people change lives. Like that's what I'm saying, is that when I grew up, even my parents were kind of like, whoa, because I had just a more stronger like personality that was just like, like a little prickly, rough around the edges. And having Gabby helped humble me up. And when I
mhm.
had Gabby, I started to soften up a little bit, but I still was very guarded. And I don't know, like when my mom told me, I guess I was in a lot of shock, because I was like, blind? What? Like, you didn't expect to hear that. You know
No.
what I mean?
Mm-mm.
So I felt, and I don't know why, with my mom, like, I don't know, like, I just couldn't really get emotional when she told me. I couldn't. I couldn't. My family found out. They were all in like this big circle of depression. And I was just like, guys, like, what are we going to do?
I
I
would have been
can't do
like
it.
that. I would have
Like
been
I
like
can't
that
do
too.
anything. What am I
Hmm.
supposed to do?
Mm.
I feel you.
Crying, getting depressed, falling on the
Hmm.
floor is not going to change the situation. Like I have to figure out
Hmm.
now, what's the next step? I have to get
Hmm.
therapy. I have to like figure out what do I do? Like what do I do? You know what I mean? Like I just didn't know what to do. So it was more about getting the right